Welcome to Money and Me. My guest this week started his first business at just 15 years of age, and he now runs a company that turns over £10 million and employs over 400 people. The way he got started can be hinted at by the title of his best-selling book, Millionaire Clown. His name is James Sinclair. James, welcome to Money and Me.
Thanks, Graham. I was interested listening to your little bio of me there.
Well, fascinating. I'm always interested in that, in how people get started. You know, so we go back a bit. What kind of family environment was it that led to you wanting to become an entrepreneur and an entertainer as young as 15 years of age?
Well, I suppose that I just wanted to start a business. I loved entertainment, and I sort of dreamed about starting a business at 14 years old, 13 years old, and I was good at entertainment, and I had this natural entrepreneurial bug. I loved finding out about how businesses worked. I used to, sad as it was as a teenager, dream about what uniforms would look like, what offices would look like, branding, how to market, how to get customers, and I just got on with it as soon as I could, and so I started a little entertainment business. And then that grew and grew and grew into where we are now.
But was there something about the family? Were your parents entrepreneurs? What was it? Where did that gene come from?
No, not at all, really. I think entrepreneurs have, there's a natural talent or a natural DNA that makes someone an entrepreneur. Some people have a management DNA, some people have an entrepreneurial DNA. I think I had that, and then I just put it to work. And then as the years trundled on, you just get better and better at things. Yeah. But I think it's a base talent thing. I think, or it's in you thing.
And was that in a sense symbolic of the fact that you were not massively engaged with the education system at the time?
Yeah, no, I thought school was a waste of time for me. It hasn't helped me in my career other than to learn to read and write, which obviously is an important thing. Yeah, I just took what I could from that and invested my time more wisely in building a business. So when I was at school, like 17, I left at 16, I already had quite a good trade in business. By the time I was 17, we was doing £1,500, £2,000 a week.
That was a good income at that sort of age. You must have felt like a king.
Well, I just didn't spend it all, Graham. I just kept putting it into property and investing and growing in the business. I was seriously working for that, like 7 days a week, full time. And I really did sacrifice my youth, and invest that time into growing the business, which I don't necessarily think is the right thing to do, but, I would have never have done it any other way. Even now, I regret not investing time into having, holidays and nights out, doing all the things that other people my age did. I was more focused on building a property business, building an entertainment business, building really where I wanted to get to. I spectacularly lucky to know what I want to achieve, whereas a lot of people struggle with that. I know where I want to be in 5 years. I knew at 18 that I wanted to own visitor attractions, and I looked, right, what's the steps to doing that? Right, build an entertainment business, let's leverage that up, buy property, then grow the security and the equity in the property to then remortgage it to go and build a chain of what would be brick and mortar businesses.
So are you telling me that whilst you're working all these hours as a children's entertainer, you've also got a part of your brain that's now working on building a property empire? So, I mean, when did you get your first property?
18.
18?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then another one when I was 19, another one when I was 20. So I had this sort of a property a year, buy, save as much as you can for the deposits. But then when I was buying property, it was all about to give it back to the bank as security to build a trading business, because I knew the things that I was attracted to was going to need capital. So like owning a zoo or a farm park or day nurseries or building family entertainment centres, I knew I'd need capital. I just knew I wouldn't be the sort of person that would go down the venture capital route or something like that.
There's a big step between you're working on your own as both the business owner and the performer, and then at some point you've got to start, thinking about how you're going to build this. Because, I mean, obviously scalability is a bit of an issue when you're the performer and you're the guy. So where did your thinking get you in terms of how I take that next step from being a kind of solopreneur into building more of a company?
So I just get rid of things that I don't like doing instantly. Second I was 17, I employed a cleaner because I moved out, left home really young. My mum died, so I had nothing. So I thought, right, let's get out there. I need to do more sales and marketing. So I employed a cleaner so I didn't have to look after the house. Then when I was 18, I had an administrator, so I didn't have to do any paperwork. So I could really focus on sales and marketing, build a business, not run a business. And that just was ingrained in my head. So most people really put off employment when they go into, starting a business. I couldn't wait to employ people to fill in the gaps that I wasn't good at. And I do that now to this day.
So what were the businesses you went into? Because I think from previous conversations we've had, not all of them worked out the way you might have liked. There were a couple of kind of...
So what I teach entrepreneurs, when people come to my seminars or, if I help entrepreneurs, I go, look, you must fold everything you do into existing empires. So if you look at my portfolio of businesses, my day nurseries are within our indoor play centres, so they feed off each other. At my farm park or my theme park, we will put in childcare that feeds off of that. We also make teddy bears. We make about 500,000 teddy bears a year that we sell in leisure attractions. But hey, we're the biggest customer of that, and we sell them in our attractions. So we always make sure that it's like an ecosystem that, everything that we do has to feed the other. So even things that we've got wrong, so we didn't have a chain of party shops. That was really tough, rents, rates, low margins, all the things I've learned that I'll never do again. But we did it did feed into our business, but we cut them off as soon as we realised this is just too hard to do. And then we had a stretch limousine company. That was a bit of a disaster, but we could get the customers for it, but we always had to get new customers all the time because people only want to hire you out once every 5 years. And so now, I have a sort of a list of rules that dictate what I want to do. I want residual income, I want decent margins, I want low labour to turnover ratio, I want repeat customers if possible, I want high off profitable sales as well as repeat sales. So I've got all these things in my head, that dictate decisions, which I've only learned from mucking other stuff up.
Right, okay, but I mean, something like nurseries must be absolute heaven from a repeat business point of view, because once you get the little brat, you've got them for 4 years. So that must have become a kind of almost a bedrock of that residual income. Yeah,
but then they're quite a high labour business, so I've learned that. Like, I try now to look for businesses that have residual income, regular income, good transactional value from the customer. So I always look at, for a business to be successful, it needs to have high average customer value or high average transactional value. So a supermarket, the margin is low on each item, but you transact with it sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, but definitely once a week you're buying food. So that's a good business because the transactional value of the customer is high. Now, if you don't have high transactional value, you need to make sure you've got high average customer value. And if you can get both, then you're onto a great win-win situation. So Apple would have both, Disney would have both. People would like subscribe to Disney channels, then they go on the holidays. So they have the high ACV stuff and the high average transactional value, and that's why they're 2 of the most profitable companies in the world, in my opinion.
But also, I think what you're hinting at there is that you need to know your numbers as a business owner and be on top of them. And I know from my own experience of my own businesses and from working with others, not that many business owners are on top of their numbers.
Well, no, because getting your numbers, one of the first people that I employed was a bookkeeper, and that makes a huge difference because what lots of people is getting their accountant to do a bookkeeping role, and that's just stupid, so you need your accountant to give you tax advice and strategic planning, raising finance and that stuff. But the core numbers within the business, a great bookkeeper, which is not expensive compared to an accountant, can really start training you up to have the basic understanding. Because you don't know till you know. That's why people don't do it. Yeah. We employ an FD now, so we've got an in-house accountant. What another level of stuff up, that can really help us. And you learn by being around those people, classic phrase, you become the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So if you surround yourself with great people, then great things will happen. But a lot of people will be watching this and they'll be going, well, it's all right for him to say, that he's got this turnover, he's got all these stuff. But the first step to actually having the thing, I'm going to employ an accountant, I'm going to have a bookkeeper, I'm going to employ an administrator, a PA or a manager, or that. It's allowing yourself to say, no, I am going to do that. And I might not be able to do it today, but I am certainly going to do that. And then you start building a business that allows you to have these great people come into your organisation.
Okay, and then that puts you in charge of the numbers and you become kind of, I guess, the orchestra leader there.
Absolutely. Most people do not want to put great people into their organisation. They just put up this, just, no, we're not employing people. No, that's it. You know, I was, how can I afford to get these people in and get them in as quick as possible?
And it is actually a false economy to do without them, isn't it? Because you spend all your time running around trying to do your bookkeeping at the end of a busy day. It's not what you want.
I get really cross when I find business owners doing their own books. I'm just like, come on. Right. Look over your own book. You look at them and read them, understand them, but don't put them together.
So how often do you review the numbers in your businesses?
Well, I'm checking them all the time. And every day I check average customer value, labour to turnover ratio. They're the two ones that are ACV and labour to turnover ratio, because in most businesses the biggest cost walks on two legs. So we want to be checking, you know, it's very smart for a business to say, right, our percentage labour to turnover is this for our sector. We need to benchmark against that. So for retail, 13%, leisure, 25%, care homes, childcare, 50%. You know, you need to know where you're at and make sure you're tracking it. And don't wait, because if your management accounts are produced monthly, for example, a monthly profit and loss that tells you how well your business is doing is usually produced monthly. You know, you could be 30 days after the fact when there's a problem. So, you know, a simple spreadsheet put together that's telling you what people are spending. So you count your customers every day, divide them by your turnover, and you want to be making sure your ACV is always going up and keep your labour on the right level. Don't go under because you get bad customer service. Don't go over or you won't be in service, you know. So you just want to decide what it is and keep it a nice level playing field.
And then if you're watching those metrics, I guess every new decision is made against, you know, trying to improve those core metrics in the business.
And I think that's why when you go in supermarkets now, you're going to McDonald's, Costa Coffee, anything like that, they're putting in self-serve, you know, because that's bringing their labour ratios down.
Okay. Well, after the break, I want to talk a little bit more about what you've done on the investment side, but that's a fascinating insight into the business side. So for now, James Sinclair, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do join us again in just a few moments. Welcome back. Before the break, we learned about how James has built up his business empire and how he tightly controls it by focusing on some key metrics in the business. But now, James, I want to try and just broaden the conversation to what happens outside the business. I know you've always had a very clear strategy about wanting to effectively make money in the business and then take it out and invest it in property. So tell us about your kind of fast pound, slow pound strategy.
Yeah, I think property is a great thing to invest in, but I always say business first, property second. If you can get a trading business that's doing really well, it will allow you to cash flow your property stuff. And I class a business as fast pounds and property as slow pounds, or assets as slow pounds. You know, whether that's stocks and shares or property, you know, or anything else, investing in other businesses, you know, they build up over time. So what I like is you should be, basically, whatever you earn, if you can invest 50% into slow pounds and 50% you're allowed to live on. So let me explain what I mean by this. You bring in a salary, it comes in, and by the end of the month, it's gone for most people, and they need more than what actually they bring in. So it comes in, it goes out. So I call it fast pounds. What I try and say to is, look, how can you get into a situation where 50% of your fast pounds you invest and 50% you live on? So if the average salary in the UK is about £24,000 right now, that's gross. So, you know, say you got 10,000 net of the 50-50, you know, people go, well, I can't live on £10,000. It's just not possible. I mean, they work up in London, you know, they need £6,000 just for travel. You know, this is just not possible. So I'm saying, look, you know, you need to up your game and bring in another income stream so that you can invest into what I like in property. And so you invest in them, and then the cash that spins off should fund the fun in life. So if you want to buy a nice car or you want to go on really good holidays, your slow pound building assets, i.e. for me, property, funds all the good fun stuff in life. And I've tried to build my business empire up by buying businesses for zero, or buying failing businesses, putting my management team in, leveraging off of them to increase the cash flow that they make so we can buy and build more property.
Okay.
Not buy property, we don't build, we just buy and rent.
Okay, I was going to say, tell me about your property investment strategies. I think you've tended to veer more towards commercial property in recent years, haven't you?
As I've got older, I've looked at, you know, you just want to model successful people, and I realise people that are really wealthy in property, like an Alan Sugar, for example, they don't own flats and houses, they own office blocks and commercial this stuff, you know, that's what they do, and why do they do that, you know? So we've still got, you know, a fair size residential portfolio, but we would much rather go and buy a nice, decent, chunky commercial freehold. And I think there's huge advantages where we're sitting right now in 2019, lower stamp duty, you can claim the interest back. If you can buy a commercial property that your trading business operates out of, that's like double thumbs up from me, because you're controlling the overhead not going up, i.e. the rent not going up. You know, just so many advantages to it. So
you're buying commercial property. So what kind of criteria would you have if you were, you know, let's assume obviously you are running a successful trading business. When you come to have some spare pounds that you want to move across into your investment strategy, what kind of criteria do you look for in the commercial property?
For a real simple reason is I want to make sure the rent is at least 10% of the purchase price. So if you're buying something for £1 million, I want to make sure that we're going to have £100,000 out of it. And then really basically we need to work to an ROI calculator on what we invest our capital in. So I work to a minimum of 20% ROI. So whatever your cash flow is after all costs each year divided by the capital you've put in, that includes your stamp duty, your legal fees, your deposits. You times that by 100 and you get your ROI. And you know why I like 20% ROIs is just think because, you know, the 300-year average base rate is 6%, and we're on 0.75 as of 2019 right now. And everyone thinks that, oh, they won't put that up, they won't put, but it's a global economy. It's sort of decided by the Bank of England, but it's also global threats that dictate a lot of that. And I just think, well, I want comfort in there. So if base rate goes, you know, because most people are buying property, if you really look at your ROI, most people buy at 5 and 6%. You know, they buy in the town that they live in, they buy on it's going to be worth that much more in the future, whereas I'm always like, no, it's all about rent. Rent first, capital appreciation second, and don't ever change your mind on that.
Okay, so what about, you know, outside of property? Are there any other things that you are investing in at the moment beyond bricks and mortar?
Other than our own businesses.
Yeah.
We don't invest in anyone else's businesses, any stocks and shares. And quite frankly, when we want to buy property, we want to buy property that our trading business operates out of. That's not always possible. I mean, we're in big shopping centres and we're not going to buy a shopping centre, but, you know, where we can, we would always do that. It's very sensible to do.
Okay. And one of the things that all business owners are having to cope with is the dreaded B word, and people keep talking about Brexit uncertainty and so on. Is your Brexit glass half full or half empty?
Yeah, I think the future is fantastic for this country. If you look at this country's history, we've always done well. I mean, I think, you know, I think we're the 6th largest economy in the world right now. We're predicted to drop, but then go back up to possibly the 5th largest economy. I saw an economist right there. We've got a great legal system. We've got a great banking system. We've got a fantastic city. We've got great airports. I mean, people put it down, but, you know, there's people trust us as a global part of the global. The global economy. They trust the UK, and I think that will get us through. We've got good people here. We've got good entrepreneurial people, and I think the ups and downs will always come. It's just your mindset on, well, I'm going to ride this storm and do well out of it. Because we actually grew our business the most in 2008 and 9, which was technically one of the biggest recessions, you know, of the last 100 years, and we done really well out because like, this is an opportunity here to go and buy businesses, and you know, and I think as well, if you're trading and you're in business, and when a Brexit comes along, it stops competition saying, right, we're going to go ahead and start new stuff. So you actually get a time to coast and rethink and go again. So I think that's a real good advantage of it. You know, did I vote Remain? Did I vote Leave? I'm quite open about this. I was a central leaver.
A central lever. What's one of those?
I wasn't bothered either way.
Okay.
You know, if we remained or left, I was sort of in the middle. I was sitting on the fence, but I was slightly more Leave, just because I just think when I look at Europe, I see problems there. You know, Germany's just gone into recession. We're in February 2019. They've just gone into recession. The Italian banking crisis is about to hit, and you know, you could see all this stuff happening. And I think, you know, I just think sometimes smaller is better.
Okay, and you could argue that where we're sitting is a great example of how Britain can reinvent and regenerate itself. This was a whole bunch of empty docks and warehouses. It's now Manhattan-on-Thames. Look at it, you know. So
people want to be here, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, people want. This is a great city, and you know, for my big thing about the country is that we need to invest more into manufacturing, so we can have more Dysons, more JCBs. We could do that. I don't know why we don't do that. You know, but you know, they're two great companies that could be, there could be more of them, and let's do that.
Now I know you're very much a shrinking violet, and you wouldn't want to be in the limelight. But if you were to become prime minister for a period of time, what would be top of your agenda for things you would change about the country?
Yeah, I don't like government running stuff that they shouldn't be running. I think they should, you know, look at education. I think they should look at protection, you know, spy, like armies and stuff like that. Security, that's the one, Graham. Thank you for helping me there. I think they should be concentrating on that stuff, police, you know, and I just think they should be finding ways to invest in longer term rather than thinking just 3, 4, 5 years. And if they could say, right, we're going to invest in this and it's going to have a 20-year payback, but then it'd be fantastic. That's what the Germans do much better than us as a country. They think, you know, we think quarter to quarter, and sometimes for business and entrepreneurship, you need to just think, right, come on, where's this going to be in 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years? That's why great entrepreneurs do have that sort of vision for what's the end look like, and we'll give it a bit more time. But because of the way parliaments work and everything's such short term, and that's not great, I think, for research and development into what's next for us as a nation.
And in the last few years, you've kind of started a new career almost as an advisor to other business owners through initially Entrepreneur Network and now Success Seminars. What's the sort of motivation behind that?
But basically, I got invited to speak in a school to a load of kids that didn't want to do education. I said, but these guys, they really want to learn about business. So would you come in and have a chat? This was about 5 years ago, and I loved it. So I wrote a book afterwards that could help kids, called it The Millionaire Clown, because it was ironic just to say, look, you know, if you apply a certain set of rules and learn a certain stuff, it doesn't matter who you are, you can actually build something quite successful. And then other business owners asked me to help, and you know, I speak at seminars, I run my own business training events where I can really seriously grow people's businesses. And people have been following me, because every day I have a man follow me around with a video camera, making little documentaries of me running my businesses, and I teach all the stuff on there. I suppose I reveal so that people can discover what can be done.
And what do you find when you talk to these people? You know, what do you find is missing from the way they're running their own businesses that you know you're able to help them with?
The problem with most business owners, not all but most, is they battle plan but don't war plan. And the ones that have got a war plan that then fight the right battles are always the ones that are more successful.
Okay.
So the way I describe it when I look at business owners, I quickly think, is this person fighting World War II, which had a reason, or World War I, which didn't have a reason? And that's how I explain it to people. You know, World War II, there was a real reason, and everyone got behind it. Better culture, we needed to get rid of this dictator that was a nightmare. But we had lots of battles to fight, but we knew why we were fighting the battles. World War I, when you look at it, no one knew why they were fighting all these battles. It became really hard work, very stressful, and that's most business owners. Very hard work, very stressful, and they don't know why they're fighting the battles.
So they don't know where they're heading.
So the good ones have a vision, an end in mind, and therefore people can follow them. It's like any organisation, you get a collective group of people, the great leader has a vision. So you look at a great secondary school, it's because there's a great head teacher that has a vision for the school that attracts the best teachers, therefore then attracts the best students, the best parents that want that all to happen. But because it is tough, people forget why they're doing things, and then they're just getting up fighting battles every day and they don't know why.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, you're a relatively young man. You're sitting at the top of a significant business empire and
67
property empire.
I am. 67 I
Yeah,
feel great
of
now.
course you are.
33 now, mate.
33. So what's next? Where are you going? You know, you said you had this sort of plan laid out. What do you see as the grand vision for the future?
Well, I want to make Party Man, which is our entertainment and leisure and childcare business, into a national brand. I think we'll get it to 15 million of revenue with a £2.5 million worth of profit in the next sort of 20 months. Then, once we've got to that stage, we'll go again and we'll build it into a 30-40 million pound business. Whether I'm doing that all on my own or with someone else, we'll cross that bridge, because there's some good stuff to be done there. And then I will carry on building my personal brand, which I think is really important because it attracts opportunities to invest into businesses and help more entrepreneurs and business owners really soar to success.
So I guess the way you've always done it is you put a management team in place, so you're not always dragged into the operational day-to-day of the business.
And I'm not good at it.
Right. So that leaves you time to get involved in other projects.
Yeah, but you know, my keynote phrase is businesses that are great run on E plus M equals S, which is entrepreneurship plus management equals success. And when you look at most organisations, they're either too leadership heavy or entrepreneurship heavy or too management heavy. So the problem with leaders and entrepreneurs is they go and make a mess and managers clear it up and go, right, okay, there is some good stuff in here, let's carry it on, let's build it up. And the other way is if it's too management driven, no one ever innovates. And if you don't innovate, you'll evaporate.
Right, okay. So you need the entrepreneur and the management team sitting behind them.
Yeah, entrepreneurs need great management, and management are driven by great entrepreneurs.
Right, okay. Well, that's great advice for any business owners watching us. James Sinclair, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Join us again next week on Money and Me for another financial life story from one of our prominent citizens. Thanks for watching.